We're live. Hey everybody, how you doing? And I am going to talk about Hard Knocks with the Oakland Raiders later tonight, but I felt that uh, given what I put out, it was a good idea to uh, to do a follow up with a live stream. And it certainly won't be the last one that I do at all because of the importance of this, you know, of this, right? But I got on Twitter, and the irony is, I was going to go live, and I thought, I need, I need to call Richard Height, and so, uh, wouldn't you know it, I got on Twitter. He was there, and and uh, he's kind enough to pull over. Hey Rich, you're on I-580, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
880.
80. He was kind enough to pull over. I guess, are you far from the Coliseum? Is this irony?
No, I mean, I'd already passed it.
Yeah. I mean, ironically,
yeah,
he's
I'm
not
currently in Newark on my way down to San Jose.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm 3,000 miles from the Coliseum. He's a couple, 2 miles, maybe 3. So, right? So how lucky is that? But I wanted to reach out and talk with him about his reaction to what I saw, and because I realized he saw it on Twitter, and I thought, oh wow. So Richard, how you doing? First of all,
I'm good. Getting back into the swing of life here.
Hey, there you go.
Some vacation's over. Back to the grind.
Wow. And you said something to me off camera that I'd like for people to hear. What did remember what you said?
I don't know. But
about
this isn't the first time I've been hearing this stuff about the A's and having a backup plan, if you will, in Portland. Somebody and I don't remember where I was looking for it. I thought somebody we knew had sent it to me like in Facebook Messenger or something. I can't find it, but there was issue of who's it? The Seattle quarterback, Russell Wilson, and his wife is part of this group, and trying to lure an MLB team to Portland, and that somehow Dave Kaval was involved in this conversation. And that things, kind of like, basically the gist of it was that the city council was of Oakland was in a way sabotaging the efforts of getting the A's to stay here. And when you had your live stream today, and I'm like, this isn't. It's been heating up. This is not the first time I'm hearing about it in the last week. And here we go again. And this is too much like the Raiders.
I'm gonna drop something else on you that I was told we encapsulate within that, but I still have to build some meat around it. I'm told that the A's may possibly be put up for sale.
I mean, I think that would be the best idea given the state of things. But at the same time, I think that hurts Oakland in a way. I would love for somebody to come in, buy in, and keep them here. But if there's if a Vegas type thing happens where there's somebody else putting their money up to get a team going somewhere else, I mean, that might be too much for somebody to look away from, especially if you don't care,
right.
When the Rangers, were, talking Vegas, and you had Ronnie Lawton and Rodney Pete and those guys, they were all talking about, hey, we're all about the Bay Area and Oakland and stuff, you felt good that, that it might happen here, but if just some yokel with $1 billion just comes along and decides he just wants to just have a team, because that's the thing to do if you're a billionaire. There's nobody gives a damn about your yacht or your 10 houses all around the world. your status symbol now is that sports team, whether it's an NFL team, a basketball team, or in this case, a baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
And the real good guys have multiple.
Yeah. What bothers me about this whole thing is that in the past, and I hate to say it like that, but look, hey, I've been on this earth 57 years, and most of that has been in Oakland. But in the past, we had task forces or a task force that would address this issue. And the current mayor, yes, my god sister, yes, my friend for 30 years, doesn't have that. And you would think, and what bothers me is there's been no appropriate, for me, maybe now she might say wrong, but there's been no appropriate public debriefing about what happened when we lost the Raiders and what not to do and how to do it better. And one of the people that I think was one of the best tools for us to help keep sports teams, the institution, when I say we, when I use the word we, I mean the institution of which I'm a part, you're a part. Even if you disagree with what the decision makers in the institution do, we all form it. The question is, how much control can we exact by mutiny? That's the other question. And I did say it just like that, okay? Because we do need a mutiny. We need a takeover. We need a hostile takeover of the business of sports in Oakland. And because for too long, in a number of cases, in the Coliseum case, several decades, it's been basically the same folks running it. And these, like, when I say these folks, I don't mean to cast them as enemies. I regard many of them as friends. I regard Oakland District 7 Councilman Riley Reed as a friend. I regard Alameda County District 4 Supervisor Nate Miley as a friend, certainly friend, both. I regard Ignacio de la Fuente as a great friend, who was the chair and really the person who reshaped the JPA, right? And so I don't bring this from a place of animosity. I bring this from a place of concern and fear. I really believe that we as a collective don't know what to do, and yet we don't trust each other enough to join together into one big group. And see what happens is when you present that position as I just did, what you get back from people, and I think rightly so, is, hey, look, the mayor's got to do that. And when Libby forms a task force, she doesn't make it such that in the sports case, she's bringing in business or concerned citizens. The last time she did anything like that, it was way too late. Remember the rally at the Coliseum?
Oh yeah. No, they need to get on it now.
Exactly. That was me.
I mean, I don't know much about lawsuits at this point, but at this point, at least, people need to start knocking down doors. Somewhere along the line, whether it's the A's doors or the county's doors, or the city's doors, but somebody needs. I said it a while ago. People kind of laughed at me, and it was kind of a joke, anyways. I'm like, I got a protest or something, just to get these people to pay attention. Because they don't.
What I think we need to do is what we did not the last mayoral election cycle, but the one before. And what we had, I think you were around then, I'm not sure, but we had an Oakland Sports Forum, and I still have the website up for that, folks. I have not gotten rid of that website, but what we had, it was around a gigantic debate that included 14 of the 15 candidates for mayor. And we asked basically all the questions were poised around sports. It was well attended, I thought, considering it was Game 7 of the World Series where 80 people came. And hey, Joseph, how you doing? And hey, one of our new vloggers, by the way. Hey, Rich, you got company. Joseph Armendariz, he's a new vlogger.
Nice.
But the question after we did it, and the video is still up on Zenny62 on YouTube, and it has its own YouTube channel as well. But after we did it, the question was, are you going to do this again? And to my discredit, I left the website up, but I didn't take it the next step, and because I didn't honestly know what that form should take, and uh, and when Forever Oakland came about, it was more like, okay, well, that's Grizz's thing, and it wasn't like, hey, I didn't even, and I could have invited and reignited, and I still can. The other big factor for me is I'm not there most of the time. And so
Right.
it needs to be a collective effort where it can be done in part as we're doing this, live stream, talking over vast distances, but also having meetings there. And so I think it takes a quite frankly a coalition. It takes not just what I'm talking about with the Oakland Sports Forum, but the Oakland Fan Coalition, uh, people who are not involved in the JPA anymore, but would love to be involved, like Chris Dobbins. I can't imagine Chris Dobbins not wanting to be involved unless he's just has turned so sour and bitter he just said, blanket, which wouldn't surprise me. And I'm not saying that as an indictment against him. I'm just simply saying, look, a friend of mine said it a few days ago to another friend of mine, and he said, and it got back to me, and the comment was, Oakland, where no good deed goes unpunished. So I know. I mean, it's it. Why do you think we're in this situation, Richard?
Agendas and egos. And for the most part, I would say the reason we don't have these task force and stuff it is exactly agendas and egos, and somebody's gonna want. There's a lot of people who want the glory, but nobody wants to do the hard work. Or if they do the hard work, even with the help of somebody else, they don't want to. They want that glory because maybe their aspirations aren't just to be a mayor or city councilman. Maybe it's to be the governor or the president someday. So they might look at these these issues as jumping off points for that next big thing. At the same time, it's like, why can't you be the one who saved these things for us? As far as mayors go, I know they've got, in terms of what's happening in Oakland, we got a huge homeless problem. The police are basically under federal control right now because of the corruption in the police department. We have schools that are suffering. We have money for libraries and just general things that are probably I wouldn't say probably, they're definitely a bigger concern than some billionaire guy's baseball team. At the same time, these big projects are those things that fund and help bring in people whose taxes are going to help fund more, better schools, more libraries, more police officers, and housing or whatever else that is that might alleviate the situation. And this last few years has been miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, we lose the Raiders, we lose the Warriors from Oakland. That Uber deal fell through. It was like one thing after another. It's like Oakland is, I don't know. I don't think they're thinking big picture. Mm-hmm. Everybody's worried about the small guy, but nobody thinks about, I guess keeping the status quo is what they're trying to do without thinking, bigger picture and how do we move forward? How do we keep everybody happy now? It's like, where do we move forward? Where, what develops this next level thing? And then I think at the same time, everybody's got their little thing that they want to do, their pet project, and so it's really tough. I try and look at all those different sides, but when I see that there are things like this that are happening, and you go, well, we already lost these people. Like, what? I'm confused now. They can't get it together and say, hey, what do we agree on? They're too busy looking at what we all disagree on.
Yeah.
Like, but where do we come together? What's going to help us? Because having these sports organizations in the community, they do benefit us.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's some sort of civic pride, whether it's tax revenue from the teams themselves or the venues, or whether it's the people who are coming into town to watch these games and events, they all help us. And then, you're not just building a stadium. You're or keeping a team. Now the stadium comes and they want to, not only do the A's want to develop around it, they want their hotels and restaurants and stuff. The places around it want that too. There are businesses who I do know have already moved into that area because they're counting on that Howard Terminal project happening. They took a big shot. They're trying to get in on the ground floor, saying, if I just can hold this out for 3-4 more years and they get that thing built, I'm gonna be rich. My restaurant might, be the big thing, or this new brewery is gonna be the new thing, or my wine bar is the next new thing. And they're hoping, I know people who buy houses down there, or houses, they purchase condos. They're going, I'll be able to walk to a game, and it's going to be worth money. I'm going to be like those guys down in China Basin, who they're sitting on, $1.5 million, condos on the water. And, not only did the Giants move there and their property values went up, and now the Warriors are going down there, and the whole area is being developed, and they're like, I made a great investment. And so that one thing feeds the next. And, so if the A's build a big project, who's the next guy who's going to come and build a new project? Does that mean maybe somebody wants to come through and say, well, we need a new convention center. Let's get a new convention center. Mm-hmm. How do we make that happen? And then you've got all this stuff rolling, and then, maybe you got priced out of San Francisco. Maybe you got priced out of San Jose. I'm saying you're at your company. Maybe you just made Oakland look more attractive. And it's that small thinking, though, that, it's expensive. It's poor thinking. It's poor people thinking.
Exactly.
And that's where you're so used to being poor that once you have an opportunity, you're so ingrained in that thought that nothing good can happen to you, that it's too good to be true, or it's going to be too hard, or we just can't do it. It's loser mentality.
Yeah, we've had a lot of that. As you talk, I'm actually showing a photographs of the Portland Stadium and the leadership. There's Greg Cheek, Mike Barrett, Russell Wilson, and his wife Sierra Wilson, and baseball consultants Darwin Barney, Dale Murphy, Larry D'Amato, and then the Pop staff. Pop is a Portland Diamond Project (PDP) staff. Is Johnny Bell's the chief of staff here, and then Jen Burrows, the media manager, Nathan Naiman, Keith Edwards, Joel Esmonde, and Linda Moore is the office manager, and then the partners are TVA Architects, Oxley and Associates, and then Cleverly, as well as Populous Architects. That's interesting. Populous Architects is a partner. That raises a huge red flag because Populous, I believe, was doing business with the A's. Okay.
Oh boy.
Architecture business a little bit. I got to double check that. McIsaac Communications, McAdam Forbes, O'Melveny, and then Trammell Crow. And that's O'Melveny's a legal counsel. So this is no small slouch group. This is not a fan group. This is a group that is designed to get something done. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a little star quality with Russell Wilson and his wife, and they've got the developers in the face of Greg Cheek and Mike Barrett. You know, actually not even that. Mike Barrett's a local sports guy who's one of the voices of the Northwest. I didn't know that, folks. And then Greg Cheek is a retired executive who worked for Nike for 26 years, and he was responsible for driving their global business category, and that's basically his claim to fame. And he's follows sports, and so this is his thing. This is what he founded. Okay, so he's giving me an idea. he's
Yeah.
he's giving me an idea. I mean, the whole point is that I think the question is what form would our idea take, because the A's already have a ballpark. But I think that the form needs to take having the A's stay at Howard Terminal and really shoring up the economics around there. Because, look, I knew from the start no one wanted to give the A's both Howard Terminal and the Coliseum. You don't secede your economic development like that. And when I started running the numbers, early on when I did it for Dave, I figured Dave Cavalli is president. It was in 2017. I figured, you know what, if they get a tax increment financing zone, which the governor can sign into law with the stroke of a pen, they could stay in Oakland at Howard Terminal. I was told by a friend of mine, even though I know this to be true, it's great to have somebody else who's in the business to hear you out. And he said, look, if they get 58 million from tax increment financing, that's a great amount of money that they can apply to the project, right? So,
Yeah.
and I know that the A's want the Coliseum, but they're not going to be able to make the kind of revenue throw off in terms of land sales from the Coliseum in a shorter time as they are going to make from Howard Terminal with tax increment financing approved. So there you go. It's really doable.
Wow.
It's just we have to well, and the question is, like, once we organize, I mean, it's the A's. The end game needs to be for the A's to sign an ironclad agreement that they're going to stay in Oakland and see this through. I mean, it can't be just, okay, we're in ENA and it's okay, but we're sniffing around over here. Well, no sniffing. We went through enough sniffing, and the A's have to be crystal clear right now what their intent is, and the mayor needs to make that statement, because if the mayor doesn't do it, everybody's going to ask. Because I've been through this with the Super Bowl. I had everybody on board but Jerry Brown, and so every single day I got, where's Jerry on this? Where's Jerry on this? And then the Chronicle, in the form of John Diaz, could have written a column at the time. This is when newspapers mattered, all right? And this was the year 2000. He could have written a column saying, hey, by the way, Jerry, get behind what Zenny is doing. But he didn't do that. Instead, he attacked me for not having Jerry on board. I mean, come on, So
yeah,
it's ridiculous. I mean, I was mad at him for a good 10 years. Almost. But almost. Not quite. It subsided in 2009. That was when I joined City Brights and started blogging. So anyway, hey, so I know you're on the side of the road, and we're going to pick this up later, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this preliminarily. We're going to be talking about this a lot more, folks. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you have any ideas.
I'm just hoping that with the connections here that are being made, I'm hoping it's just people jumping to conclusions, maybe. Maybe people are talking to Cowell, and he's, I don't know who's doing what, but maybe, he's just somebody's looking at him as a consultant, or, just kind of a loose connection, and not something, I would hate for them to be dealing behind everybody's backs.
That's exactly why I wanted to bring it out in the open, because prior to this, it was all back channel, And now I think this has hit Google News. If I type um, Oakland A's, Portland, um, um, let me see here. Oakland A's, Portland. What do I get? Let's see here. A's ballpark problem. New ballpark renderings availed. Let me click on news. Hasn't hit.
On a side note,
hasn't hit Google News yet.
what I have read,
Okay.
while you're looking that up, is
Sure.
you know, I've also heard as the Rays have also been connected to this too, but because they're also looking for a new stadium project, you know, new stadium in St. Petersburg. I believe is where they were trying to, Tampa Bay area. I don't know my geography of Florida, but they're looking for a new stadium as well, and they seem to be a lot further behind than the A's are in their search. And then, of course, the MLB has been talking expansion, so who knows really what's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that, you know, somebody's contact, you know, that the actual somebody at the A's is actually talking to somebody it's just concerning.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, it did make the front. His Oakland A's planning Raider. I'll have to rename it just so I can go somewhere. But I see. I see what happened. Okay, I see what happened. All right, but all right. Hey, I will let you go. I'll let. And thanks a lot, man.
You got it.
All right. Okay. Hey, folks, we'll be back with more. We're going to talk about Hard Knocks training camp with the Oakland Raiders a little later tonight. Stay tuned and subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. All right. See you, Richard.
All right. Take care.
Okay. I'll see you guys soon.